Welcome everyone to the
Ow.
TNL podcast. This is
Ugh.
Sleeve, better known as Eric Manch.
Really? Even in your personal life, you're better known as...
Yeah, better known. Better known.
I thought you were just went by Sleeve as...
I like to,
Yeah.
I like to go by my my Christian name. Well, it's not really a Christian name because I'm not actually Christian.
Jewish name.
Let's not
Sleeve
get
is
too,
actually his middle name. He's
Let's
Eric
not get-
Sleeve.
let's not get too much into my personal life here on the podcast.
Okay. And who
Next.
who else is here?
Who else do we have? Miss Mizzo.
I'm always
Mizzo.
last.
Mizzo's
What is wrong? What is wrong with you guys in this order? Isn't it like Nick, Sleeve, Chris, Mizzo? Isn't that just
Yeah, I was gonna go, but
The
I kind of like
order?
the way that he called
know
you.
we had some
What
kind of
sounded like Miss Mizzo.
Pre-programmed order here.
Well, that's just the way it's
Okay, well,
ended up being.
well,
so I just
me,
assumed
everybody
that
knows
was the order.
by
And
my
I think I
voice.
mentioned that.
Everybody knows me by my voice alone. I mean, yeah, that's Nick.
Right.
So I need no introduction.
Right, that's Nick. That's the voice I rub out
When
to
Nick
every
talks,
night.
people listen.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
true.
This is Chris. I'm also known as MechDeus on the boards and on various internet shit.
And
And this is
finally,
And the
So-
little guy in the corner.
Yeah, little, right. This is Mizzo, and that's it. Everywhere, Mizzo.
You just want to eat him up in a teaspoon. He's so...
all right, great. That was a hell of a beginning. So what are we going to talk about, you guys?
We're going to talk about how this is the 34th or 35th podcast we've recorded, none of which have gone live.
Might be the
Maybe
first or the
one of
second
these
you ever
days
hear.
We'll put one of them up so everyone else can listen to them on the forum and, well, whatever
Yeah, we'll have a link.
person just happens to come across them.
Right.
If you
doing
do totally
some
hate this, you might also like Podcast 0, Podcast 0A, Podcast 0B, and so on and so forth. You could put the link.
Miserable podcast of secrets.
Secrets.
Did we all
Yeah.
agree
So-
that's the name?
I want an intro. I want like an intro with like a guy saying it and like Dracula music playing and maybe like a wolf howling.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll make
It's
that
got to
happen.
be at least 2 minutes long, though, because
At
that's
least
what you
2
love in a
minutes
pod. You just
long.
love just sitting there for 2 minutes while they play their stupid sound effects.
And like a little guitar solo
Nice
comes
build up. So what are we going to talk about on this release week of December 13th?
Sounds good to me. Well, what else is new? Let's see. Well,
December 13th.
Oh yeah. Well, by the time people hear this, we've got like 3.5 hours left in the big Arkham City giveaway.
Oh fuck.
Where so get your entries in. We're giving away.
Someone forgot to enter.
Well, you've got 3.5 hours. How long does it take you to type your name? We're giving away the Arkham City Collector's Edition with the big statue and the art book and all that stuff. And I'm kind of worried because there have been so many entries from non-TNL people
I was gonna say
that I'm really
that-
rethinking, because I tried to weigh it in for TNL people initially, like if you're a member of this, you get extra votes. But then I did this thing where, like, if you retweet this on Twitter, you get 3 extra entries. And so, of course, now there are people that have never been on the site that have like 6 or 7 entries. So I'm really worried that some douchebag's going to win and never, they'll say, where did you get this? So I don't remember, some site, I think it was Facebook gave it away or something.
Yeah, what's the website again? I can't find it.
The next level, the dash.
Oh, right,
Gamepacks.com.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still on the
That
front
was it.
page. It's like the 3rd or 4th thing down. But so I think next time what we're going to do is kind of really, really weigh it in for the longtime members, but still make it
So
possible.
every year that you've been on TNL, you get an extra entry.
Well, I mean, if you want to make it possible, there's always it's still gonna happen at some point that some dude outside of TNL is gonna win. you
Yeah,
know?
but I just want to make it, I want to really.
He doesn't want to exclude them, but he wants to be like, hey, you've been with the site.
Well,
Here's a
maybe you could
bonus.
actually cheat it. Like I'm not saying like in a bad way, but like in a good way, so that outside of TNL you can only win the bare bones package and not the. Or is there only one giveaway for this?
There
'Cause
was
the
there's
Gears,
one. There could have been 2. I mean, there could have easily been, like, I could have also given away, because we had like 3 we had like
Yeah.
2 copies, one for review.
hey Nick,
Yeah.
I tell you what you do. You just take the entries and you just pick someone. Just pick someone.
No,
Whoever.
No,
whoever
that's
you
cheating.
think is
That's not right. But what I'm saying is like the Gears one had 3 different tiers of winning.
Right,
It had like the retarded pack, then like the decent pack, and then like just the game. So you could have like the people that come in from the outside can only just get the game and not like the ridiculous fully loaded
I
pack.
did consider that,
That would
but
be-
people really get excited about
That is true.
the big fish. So I'm thinking like maybe an outsider can only get the one entry, but since we have different achievements and different rankings and things on the forums, we could have those mean like something could be 3 votes, something could be another 3 votes. So, you can get maybe like 10 votes if you're 10 entries if you're a forum person who's been around for a while, and maybe only one, possibly like a bonus one, maybe 2 total if you're outside. The next giveaway, one of the next giveaways will be for Need for Speed, and there are a couple of like little bonus packs that aren't like the full thing, so we'll have 3 prizes there, so that'll be a little bit better. But I don't know what I'm going to do. But it's just been so much response with Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good in a way. But I also like the way that
staying,
Yeah, I like the way I like the way that we're discussing how to cheat new members right on the podcast.
But I won't.
Hopefully, they're listening to this. We won't do that.
Anybody that's known me for the past,
if they're just coming on to, put an entry in, they're not going to listen to the podcast. They won't be here that long.
I hate them anyway.
Pretty much 4 people will, and there's 4 of us here, so we'll all listen. So, and Josh, and then probably
Josh will hear it in 2 weeks.
Probably Bebop or whatever his name is, so just they can criticize it, and that's about it.
Because there's nothing to do in whatever state he's in, especially now that he's no longer in Japan.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
And then so there's going to be 2 in the coming month. Need for Speed. I'm trying to see what I can get for Skyrim, but I haven't heard anything from it yet. The Skyrim has a very, very sweet collector's edition, and then in December, Star Wars has a very, very sweet collector's edition.
Beyond. But I'm sure it will be cool, though. I'm sure it will be cool.
Well, it's got this big, it's got little statues and stuff. The Uncharted collector's pack comes with a belt buckle and something like that. So they've got some different ideas.
Is it like an electronic belt buckle that has a little like word that goes across it so often?
No. Ooh, I want one of those.
I want one of those pretty bad. I was actually almost. I was looking to buy one recently, so I could be like
a contest for one of those.
Sure, we'll see what we can get.
I can be like the guy in Parks and Recreation that had "What's Cracking" on it, because that's like my favorite thing ever. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's actually a huge month for releases. It's almost dizzying how many things are coming out in November. Need for Speed, Saints Row, of course, WWE 12. Huh. WWE 12's a funny thing. It's this past month, whenever NBA 2K12 came out, I played it, and I actually reviewed it for the site, which is interesting because I've never played an NBA game before, other than NBA Jam and those kinds of things. So evidently, like doing some research into it, some of these sports games actually have new features from year to year, and they don't just update the rosters. But with the wrestling games, what they do, interestingly enough, THQ, God bless them, seems to take things out every year instead of adding new features. So I was demoing the game, and it looks like the exact same game as last year. So I asked the guy, did you add anything? And he said, oh yeah. He says, we built things from the ground up. And I said, oh, come on, what did you take out this year? He said, we didn't take out anything. We're building, we're making this franchise bigger. It looked like the same game. And then I went outside the ring and I said, so how do I get a weapon this year? I said, can I still do the thing in the corner where you choke them on the guardrail, or you grab a crutch from the audience? Oh, we took that out. We don't do that this year.
Blah, blah, blah.
So yeah, they're always taking things out of there.
Well, luckily nobody gives a shit about wrestling games except for you, apparently.
Yeah, me. And King of Fighters is also coming out this month.
Nice.
That actually has additions from year to year. And so we're excited.
I will say, King of Fighters 13, this is probably actually the first King of Fighters game I've ever played that I think is actually pretty good.
In what way?
I've always felt they were kind of B tier, to be honest, and people love the hell out of them, and I've never felt that love. The closest I came was 98, King of Fighters 98, which got ported to the Dreamcast as Dream Match 99, with that amazing intro, and I fucking loved the shit out of it because I loved my Dreamcast, and I loved every game that ever came out for it. And I played the crap out of that game, and I played Athena, and I really liked it, but that was probably the only King of Fighter
Yeah, let's start talking about Athena
ever
again.
really got into.
Athena gets mentioned in every
podcast.
This is-
I'm
this is
gonna
not that
find a way.
anyone
I'm gonna
besides us
find a way to
knows.
bring that in.
It's gonna be
every
the
podcast.
The official TNL podcast fighting game character.
But
Yes.
But what about 13 appeals to you, Chris?
13 is a lot nicer. It feels better. I mean, well, to be honest, 12 might have felt the same way, but I felt no need to purchase a game that was like half incomplete with shitty netcode. That was in a series I didn't really like in the first place.
All right, so wait, is this out now? Is it?
No, it's coming out later
13?
in the month.
No, it's coming out later, but
Okay.
TNL people play things ahead of time because we're awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Pirates.
Yeah. So
well, they're actually adding a lot of stuff.
What new characters does it have?
To the PS3 release, along with one character who I've always thought just kind of looks like a retarded asshole, which is what's his name, Billy Kane, I think. He looks like such a fucking
with
douche.
the headband and the pole.
Yeah, he's like, I'm walking around.
Bandana.
He looks like he's naked under his overalls because he actually has them strapped all the way on, unlike Alex in Street Fighter 3 who wears them half off. So, Alex gets this kind of like construction working vibe going, but Billy Kane just looks like he's a nudist under his outfit.
He looks like a farmer without a shirt on, basically. Right?
Oh, well,
yeah, kind of.
I hadn't really thought of it that
That's
way.
hot.
Yeah. And then he's just got some terrible headband on. But the main thing is just it looks really good. It moves really nicely. The controls feel a little bit better, which, again, might just be the animation, but I feel a little bit more connected to the characters on screen as opposed to a lot of the previous King of Fighters. And the change in art style is really nice because I really hated a lot of the art style. It's got this really, really heavy 80s feel to it, and they usually go with kind of stereotypical is not the right word, but the outfits just seem to be kind of standard. I don't know, there's something about them that lacks charm. But with the new art style, they just look a lot better than they did before. Even though it's the same outfits and the same designs, it just comes across a lot nicer in the new versions. And 13 actually has like a full roster. It's got, just nice control. It feels a lot better than the old King of Fighters did. So I actually kind of like 13. It's up there. It sort of surpassed the, I guess that would be 9 versions of kind of shittiness that they've been going through.
Well, even like the Capcom dude gave it like a backhanded kind of compliment, because they actually asked him, the guy that does Street Fighter 4, that dude.
They
asked him, they asked him if he would be willing to do like a versus with SNK, and he kind of mentioned how they've thought about it before, but they were like they're kind of crappy right now, so yeah. But after seeing 13, he was like, well, maybe, So it's kind of like a bit of a backhanded compliment, like saying everything they've done so far has been garbage, but this one looks good, which means it does look good, I think. So that's interesting, at least.
Yeah.
And Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is coming out about the same time. Is anybody gonna? Is anybody gonna invest in that?
The main thing
deal.
is that
it's honestly a great deal.
I'm honestly kind of excited for it. I did like MVC3. I just didn't really have the time to put into it. Like I really like some of the characters, and I hope that since they couldn't put him in, I hope they add Gene from God Hand in as DLC. I would buy that. I'd buy that extra character.
I definitely enjoyed playing it when it came out. I was never that big into Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or the Marvel vs. Capcom 1, but I did enjoy playing with my friends when it came out, and I'll probably end up buying this one too.
Do any of you ever play with random people, or do you all just play with invited?
No.
You know what?
Never.
Not Marvel Capcom 3 because it is broken online shit. But for a game that actually does work online, like Street Fighter 4, then if 90% of the time I play it, I'll sit down, turn it on, just random after random, and you're like, I should get up, what time is it? Oh, look, it's midnight already, and I've been here since 6 a.m, and I can't even feel my knees anymore. Seriously, I will just zone out and play randoms all fucking day on a game that works, like Street Fighter 4.
And who do they pick most often? Who do you end up fighting? Right?
Street Fighter 4? It's been a while. I mean, last time, there's you get your share of Ryus, I think is who you meant to say.
I say Rue. Can I make a D sound at the beginning?
You get a good amount. You get a good amount of Kens, obviously. And then with the AE one, I haven't played AE all that much to be honest, but you got a lot of Yuns to start off with because he is overpowered shit. So of course you would get a lot of him. I don't know. People don't have a lot of variety, so I mean that is true. Once in a while, you'll fight somebody you've never seen before, like again, and he'll do like three things that you have no idea what they are, and they'll just hit you, and then the match will be over, and then you'll never see him again, so you don't even get to practice against it. You're like, okay, next, and then you go back to your regular Ryu tactics. But it's fun. I mean, playing randoms to me is like the reason why I would play these fighting games. Like, I don't want to play the same dude over and over again. Like I don't want to join a lobby and watch other people play and wait my turn like 7 turns later. Like I want to just sit there and play randoms over and over again. And Marvel did not let me do that.
Waiting for your turn.
I kind of like the whole lobby system. I sort of like the idea of sitting around waiting for a game, watching other people play because I don't get to I don't get to do that very much. I don't get to play games with other people. I don't get to play fighting games with other people. So it's kind of fun for me to watch other people play. Because I do get some benefit from that, I guess. So,
well, I think I mean the biggest problem with Marvel for me was that I couldn't play people, and the reason for that is that I don't know if they took it out purposefully. It's not in Street Fighter 3 either, but I mean in Street Fighter 4 you can search, like you can bring up a list of everybody who's playing in your area that you can connect to. Like if you were playing like a PC game that has a decent service, And then if you can't find anybody, then you can create a match. And that's how you would play, which sounds natural, right? But then like the Street Fighter 3 that came out later, and then Marvel Capcom 3, same thing. You can't do that. You can't bring up a list of potential people to play against. You have to use their in-game smart system that looks at its own list, picks one for you, tries to connect, fails to connect, kicks you out, too many is back, so you're going to have to go back in. You can't even create a match because it's supposed to be smart enough to know that there aren't matches playing and create one for you. But it's like, can I just do it myself? I would feel a lot better if I could do it myself. Because then if I pick somebody and then somebody else has picked them and the option is gone and it tells me you were too slow, sucker, then at least I understand that was me. And I just come right back to the menu and do it again. But when you turn it on and the smart system tries to do it, it's like you're just looking at the loading screen forever, and then it tells you connection failed. You have no idea what happened. It feels so stupid. I mean, I don't understand why that change took place, but it's the worst to me. I don't know.
Point taken.
Thing. I don't see enough people complaining about it. People complain about the matchmaking as in it doesn't work well enough, but they don't complain like take away the smart system, bring back the manual system. They're not saying that specifically. That's what they should be saying. They should be saying make the smart easy system better. They should be saying stop trying to make this more complicated. Just bring back the fucking big screen of names that I can pick from. That's all I ever wanted.
Yeah, it just seems like people are going to bitch about the matchmaking and no matter what about anything. People are just going to bitch about it no matter what.
He's transforming into his second character, into his second form for the boss battle.
So anyway, fighting games. That's about it. Let's move on. Fuck fighting games.
Well, I was going to talk more about fighting games.
You can talk more. You can talk more.
Taking the wind out of my sails.
No, please.
Just go, please.
Fighting games, Nick.
I don't know. I was just wondering if how big a part of people's lives that is. At one point, I think I was playing. I've never really been one to play on Xbox Live very much, mainly because I've never really put a lot of time into them, with some exceptions. So there's always going to be some guy that comes on and just keeps trashing you and. Ideally you'll want to be like, oh, I will train harder and I will beat you somehow, but mainly it's just like you look at the clock, it's like, oh shit, I gotta go. I gotta go. This guy just trashed me 6 times in a row and I'm never going to get my win back. And it's kind of depressing, but dude.
I was going through that for a while with Street Fighter 3. I was playing that. I was trying to learn how to get good at it. But that was basically happening to me. I was just playing like match after match after match. I would just lose game after game after game. And I did sort of enjoy it because I did feel like I was learning, but I haven't played it in about a week or so.
And then you get to the point where
I just feel like I'm not going to reach that point where I get any better.
Okay, bro, I'm not going to do kicks this whole match. And then they start to have it can get bad. It's like, okay, I'm
Yeah,
not going to
and
use
then,
fireballs this match. Let's see if you can beat me. It's too
and then
depressing.
you get to the point where the guys, they pull out the Joe character and
Yeah, I'm going to step away from the Xbox for 2 minutes. Let's see if you can still
yeah,
beat me.
Well, see, this is once again
story of
another
my life.
place I feel that Capcom's been taking backward steps on their online play, because I do understand where you guys are coming from. You guys are both garbage, and you're trying to play against people who are good,
Well,
and
Yeah.
there's no
my
way to
skills are
actually.
garbage.
I mean,
Well,
it's like
I mean,
every
I
game
understand and
flows
appreciate the fact that I have to play against people that are good. Like I
See,
want,
exactly.
like,
Okay,
as a
perfect.
shitty player, I want to play against people who are good.
Right. And when
So
Street Fighter 4 first came out, well, maybe not first, but I think later on they added this mode. But it was the greatest thing ever because people were filtered out into different levels. So you would start off the gameplay against the shittiest people you ever played with,
No, that's
and
pretty.
and you would rank up the more you win. So like you would slowly get better at the game as you beat these shitty people, and then you would upgrade to the next rank, and right away you would get your ass kicked by these people who were actually better. Like they were like, I don't know, I don't even know how you quantitate. Like you could feel that they were better,
That's
and
what I
then
always.
you
That's
would
what I
work your
always
way
liked
up
about.
again,
That's what
graduate,
I
and get
always.
slapped down, and
That's
then you
what I
would have
always
to work
liked
your way up
about.
again. So it was like a learning curve, and it was amazing. And they didn't bring that because people complained. Because people complained that they would get to S rank or A rank, which means they played every conceivable second of every fucking day to get that high. Honestly, because even if you're really good, the point system was very slow. But if you get to S or A rank, the competition gets really, really thin because not that many people take the time to get up there. Even if they're good, they probably don't take the time to get up there as quickly as some people did. So they complained that they would get on at 3 in the morning and not be able to find the match. So
Yeah.
Capcom's like, I hear you, two people that are really good at Street Fighter. Let's make it so everybody can play everybody at all times. And it's not the same. Like
Well,
I
why
like that
can't these
option. I
people
miss that
just
option.
play unranked games then? I mean, why do they have to cater their entire rank system to those people at the top? Well, I guess the reason is because those are people who actually spend their time playing the game rather than everybody else who comes in for like 30 minutes and then quits.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's just unfortunate
yeah.
that they can't have something like StarCraft 2, which has a
Right.
amazing ranking system that really works very well, where I can play, people of any level.
Well,
that
do you
are
ever
the
have
same
trouble finding a
I am.
match? I mean, you know what? See, that's the thing. Like at the bottom, you would have no
For
trouble finding a
StarCraft with
match.
StarCraft
I'm
2.
assuming you're not good at StarCraft 2. So
Well,
like at the
I'm
bottom,
a
you would probably have no trouble finding a match. But if you're like one of the best StarCraft 2 players, or not even one of the best, just a really good StarCraft 2 player, would you have trouble finding other people who are as good? Maybe not StarCraft. Maybe it's so popular that you wouldn't. But in Street
I think
Fighter, it definitely was an
StarCraft
issue
2
in
is
the A
popular
rank.
enough. I mean, I was a silver level player, like
Hmm.
silver level player, which is okay. I think I was briefly in the gold league back when I was playing it. So I mean, I'm not great, but I was
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I'm just
And
talking shit.
I
I've never
always had,
seen it,
yeah, but
so
I always had
I have no idea how
had
you play.
yeah, I had no difficulty finding people that were of my skill level. And
Because I know that like Rambo, I mean, from the site First Blood, and my friend John and myself, like after 3 months, I was A rank. I mean, I'm really not even good at Street Fighter 4, honestly. I just play people who are really bad. I'm not that good at the game. I was already A rank in like 3 months when I started playing the original vanilla Street Fighter 4, and I was having trouble finding matches. So while I do appreciate the way it works, I will agree that finding matches was an issue.
mhm.
But I still think it's a better fucking system than putting everybody and their mothers together. Because right now I could play the worst player ever and destroy him, and right next to him I could play the best player ever and get destroyed like within seconds, and that kind of doesn't make sense. I think you can. I think there's an option to filter to your level, but I mean, fuck you, just have the old system back. I liked it. I like the old system better.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what console do you all play most? I find as I go further and further into this generation, I'm playing the PS3 more and more and more and more. And not only because of their exclusives, which are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Uncharted 3 is coming out on Tuesday, which I expect to be pretty good. Um, but just because if there's a choice, I just usually end up buying the PS3 version, even if I hear it looks a little bit better on the 360.
Really?
Yeah, I just kind of gravitate toward it. I'm just more comfortable now on the PS3.
I go
I don't
the other
know.
way, completely the
Am
other
I the
way.
only one?
Yeah.
If the
Go the
option is there for
Xbox.
360, I'll go 360. Unless it's like multiple discs, like Castlevania or Final Fantasy 13.
Hmm.
Fuck you, Blu-ray. Instantly. But if
Yeah.
it's like if both are available, both are the same thing, no difference whatsoever. Xbox has the better community for me. That's where all my friends are. That's where all the TNL people I play with are.
I
Yeah.
usually end
All
up playing
my
just one-player games, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the community's better on X. Well, I mean, all my friends are on Xbox, and I don't own a PS3 at this point. I
Oh,
keep
that
thinking.
that would be the deciding
So
factor.
Yeah,
yeah,
that would help. That would
I mean,
influence.
I have a PC. I have a gaming PC, so I can
So do I.
so games that
Okay.
come out for that. I guess I have the option there, but even for yeah, usually it's Xbox. I go for Xbox 360. If it's well, every once in a while for games that are better on PC, I'll go for PC. I never did. I didn't buy Rage though when it came out, so I sort of
Rage, I think, is actually running better on the consoles than it is on the PC.
that's what I heard. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, which I mean, it'll get patched up to the point where the PC is at least equivalent. Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could already do to the I to make it run better. It's just weird that it wasn't. It was like out of the box. It seems like they focused so much on making it easy multi-platform because they use like the same assets for all
That
three
is-
versions, which is
it
weird
is
because
pretty.
they're actually
they
going to
managed to-
release a texture pack for the PC version
Yeah, I heard about
with like
that.
double the size of the
Wacky.
textures or something like that.
They managed to get it on console running at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Did they? That's pretty amazing that they did do that. I mean, I'm not interested in Rage at all, but I'm definitely impressed that they managed to get it up to that level.
It's amazing that other people don't
On
try to do that. That
consoles.
should be fucking standard at this point. Even if you have to
Yeah,
sacrifice a
yeah,
little
it
bit of the
really should be.
graphics, I think everything should play at 60 goddamn frames per second
Well,
by now.
I think we're to the point in hardware where it's not realistic to expect that from most games that are coming out. Things like Crisis 2, trying to get that to. Although I didn't play that on Xbox 360, but I'm assuming that it's below 60 frames per second. So yeah, I mean, I guess are we ready for new hardware? Do you guys want to
Never.
buy new consoles at this point?
Never again.
I don't really care. I actually don't really care. I think
I
I'm
don't have the
happy
money,
Yeah, I mean,
which is really what's stopping me.
I
Go ahead.
I don't have I lost my train of thought, but
I don't.
yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm not really looking forward to buying. I don't really have to feel like I have to buy a new generation of hardware. I'm pretty happy with the with most of the stuff on Xbox Live Arcade. I think that's actually most of the games that I play nowadays seem to be downloadable titles. That seems to be the direction that the industry is moving in. So I think it seems to be less a priority than it was in previous years.
Yeah, they're saying maybe the new Xbox will be shown next year, and
Oh, God.
maybe the PS3, PS4, the year after that. So I guess they're not in a hurry, even though for a while it looked like they were going to be releasing new hardware, every time you turned around. But this was years and years ago that people were worried about that. I think Nintendo's ready. I know most of you don't even think about Nintendo when you're thinking.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo's actually going to bring out a console that's HD ready, maybe, possibly. Is that
Yeah,
what the
it
Wii U is
should.
going to be?
Welcome
Is
to
it?
the year
It's going to be.
2000.
The
Nintendo.
Wii U is
Yeah.
actually going to be a little bit stronger than the PS3 and 360, but kind of depends on who actually buys it and releases games for it.
They'll find a way to make a GIMP. I mean, they will. They'll find a way to cheap out on it and make something really stupid. Just bad decisions left and right. I trust Nintendo to make money for themselves, which like is not good for me at all. And I don't trust them to do anything but make decent game. And even when they make a decent game, it's kind of clunky. I think the only thing they've made that I've found absolutely perfect lately has been Mario Galaxy. Like, I can't even fault Mario Galaxy. I love that game so much. But you play like New Super Mario Brothers for Wii, which is an amazing name for a video game, by the way. And you have like the little menus that pop up, not menus, but the little system messages that come up with the UI. They're based off of the Wii default UI. Like, they're the most generic looking windows with shitty Wii text on them. Like, do you guys know what I'm saying? That is just so lazy and horrible. I couldn't even.
One of the things I hate about that is whenever they do that, but it's the low battery, just because your batteries have gotten to like
left. You have like 2 bars left, and it's coming up like tickle tickle. You know, change the
you've got like
soon.
hours of gameplay left, and it blocks the screen and pauses the game. And it's just like, who designed
Hey,
this?
listen.
Hey.
Well, you said you.
That is pretty bad.
Mizzo said that he trusted Nintendo was always going to make money, but interestingly, Nintendo lost almost $1 billion.
Yeah,
it was announced this past.
Yeah, they have not been making money
Really?
lately.
Well, the thing I don't understand is, like, how do they expect? Like, I never understand like the way these people are thinking. Maybe you guys can explain it to me. Like, whenever I read about like sales numbers and stuff, and they're talking about like the PS3 is selling well, the 360 is selling well. Like, it's like, okay, like a new system comes out, maybe a few months go by, maybe like a year goes by, and then I buy it, and I mean, I'm done buying the system as a consumer because I have it. So how do they expect systems to continuously sell higher numbers year after year? Like, who's buying these systems?
One of the reasons.
Well, because you believe it or not, Mizzo, I mean, these companies are still trying to get people to buy their systems. I mean, they're still trying to give people an.
Yeah, but I mean, anyone that wants it, wouldn't they have it?
Well, people become gamer, and you know, it's people become gamers all the time, you know, and somebody moves out or moves out of their sister's bedroom to their own bedroom.
We are not their target market. You know, we're sort of a, you know, that we're not the people that they're trying to market to, I guess. You know, we're the type of people who. We're the type of people who are going to buy these systems. We're kind of like the people who are going to, vote for Obama. You know, the people that Obama thinks are,
what's going on?
Trying to bring this into politics here, but President Obama's got this attitude where he's got all these Democrats are going to vote for him no matter what. He's got kind of that attitude. So everything that he does politically, he's trying to get other people to vote for him. He's trying to get that that uncommitted 30-40%.
He's got my vote. I only vote for women and minorities. I don't even care what the platforms are or what they're doing. That's just how I go, just to fuck with people.
The stats are that Nintendo sold 5 million Wiis last year, I guess, and sold only 3.3 million Wiis this year.
Yeah, but it's 2011. Who doesn't have a Wii that wants a Wii?
And they don't break because you don't play them that much.
Because you don't play them. Yeah, mine's like brand new.
That's one of the things I think that contributes to me playing the PS3 more. Is I'm more scared of the Xbox suddenly breaking than I am the PS3.
I install games now. I don't even want that disc spinning. I just install the game and I play it, and I don't even. I am scared because my 360 has broken. I think everybody's has. I don't think anybody has like a white launch 360 that has not broken. That might actually be a fact.
I have a new model Xbox 360. I have the
Halo
the Halo Reach model.
Okay.
And it hasn't broken yet. Yeah.
Well, I mean like the white launch ones.
I did buy a launch one broken already.
Yeah.
which gave me a huge discount, which is why I bought it. Because it only cost me like $100.
Xbox 360. I bought my original Xbox 360 back in 2006, and it red ringed on me once. So, and after I did that,
I think it gets downplayed a little bit because the system is an amazing system. I don't think that can be argued. But the fact that they all break is kind of a really bad thing that a lot of people tend to ignore a little bit.
I have my dad's Atari 2600 from 1978. That works.
Nice.
Yes, that works perfectly on the first try.
Yeah, well, the Dreamcast was a pretty reliable system.
I was going to actually.
No, you know what? No, my Dreamcast. I beg to differ. My Dreamcast broke.
I was going to say the first system.
Mine still works.
And besides the 360, the only system to ever break down on me.
Well, thank you.
Was the Dreamcast.
There was a very common thing with the Dreamcast where it will reset on you. It'll just randomly reset, and I can't remember the fix. It's just like some little tiny stupid thing that goes wrong with the system. And I think it was easy to fix. But it causes it to randomly reset, which is so frightening. That's the worst thing a system can do.
I think almost every system has broken for me. Like,
Chris, every game you play breaks for you. I don't know what you do. Every
he rests his drinks on everything.
He like falls through the floor and fucking... I don't know.
Oh
you know
my
what?
god,
Every
I've
game
fallen through the floor in so many games.
Always.
I don't even understand it. Remember when we were playing Warcraft and we couldn't kill that one fucking dragon because every time it attacked me, I fell through the world? Yes. And this didn't happen to anyone else. It was just me. I would just stand there, it would hit me, and I'd fall through the world.
I mean, every game.
We
I
did it
don't
like
care how
5
good it
times in a
is.
row.
Chris breaks it somehow. I don't know what he does.
The
don't know how he
Dreamcast was the most disappointing for me because I was really looking forward to the Dreamcast. I was so excited. I got it on the first day.
Yes.
I brought it home. I had so much fun with it. And then Shenmue, I was looking forward to as well. And you kept hearing about it and hearing about it. I was so excited. I worked myself up into a Shenmue frenzy. So finally, I get the game. It's launch day. I think it was November 15th was the Shenmue launch day. I bring it home. I open the case. There's the game disc, and there's something called the Passport, I think they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I want to play this game, but I'm going to check out this Passport disc.
I want to see what the weather's going to be like for the next week in Shenmue.
So I put the disc into the Dreamcast. I shut the top of the Dreamcast down, and I hear this buzz, and the Dreamcast is dead. And I would not play Shenmue for another month because I sent in the original Dreamcast, which is a launch Dreamcast, and I thought they were just going to repair it and send it back, but they sent me a Dreamcast that was made in October. Because the launch was $99.99, so they sent me one. I looked at it and it was made in October, so it wasn't even a launch unit. So my Dreamcast
that bothers you?
It's like a redheaded stepchild. Yes.
Hey, speaking of the Dreamcast, and speaking of politics, does it bother anybody else?
You were speaking of politics.
Yeah, nobody wants to speak
not
about
to
politics.
talk about politics again, but does it bother anybody else that 999 is now known as like some kind of political like tax plan?
Oh, that'll pass.
rather than the Dreamcast launch date.
I'm completely
It's a far more important Dreamcast launch date that should be remembered for all time.
Well, I think so. It's
a good date. It was a good date to launch a system.
Be known as that rather than Herman Cain's tax plan.
If anybody is listening to this and they were all like, I'm waiting for a PS2 when the Dreamcast came out, I hate you. I hate you forever.
I blame those
because
people.
that is the dumbest thing you have ever done in your life.
Yeah, I hate those people. There's a guy at work but I like to play Gran Turismo. I kept telling him, buy a Dreamcast. Sega, because I wanted Sega to succeed so much. And I love the Dreamcast. And these were waiting for Gran Turismo and all.
I mean, Sega had just crapped all over us with Saturn and like the CD. I mean, Sega had just done so many things wrong that I had nothing but hatred for Sega at that time. And then the Dreamcast came out, and I was like, no, fuck you, Dreamcast, what? But then the more I saw it, the more amazing. And then it came out here in the U.S., and by then I was totally converted. I was like a huge Sega dude, and I bought it day one. I had Marvel Capcom 1, perfect arcade version for the first time ever, with an arcade stick that was kind of shitty, but not that bad for commercial release. And then, what else? What else was launched? Sonic Adventure, one of the worst games ever made.
Sonic Adventure.
Back then, I didn't know.
Sonic talked, man.
It got worse as time went on. Back then, I was like, "Wow, this looks so good," and now it's I don't even want to talk about it.
I mean, it was amazing when it came out. Graphics wise, anyway.
I actually do remember getting some enjoyment out of Sonic Adventure 2. I know it was terrible in a lot of ways, but I actually did.
I still love the
music.
Sonic and Shadow levels in Sonic Adventure 2.
It has amazing.
Yeah, those were great. I do remember those fondly.
But it's like
everything else.
Sega hates racing. Like they hate making Sonic go fast. So they give you like 3 levels where Sonic goes fast, which is what everybody wants. And then they give you like they took away Tails going fast. They turned him into like a Robotnik clone from the first game. It's like, really?
Yeah, the goal of the level is like Sonic has to stop and get a cappuccino, and then Sonic has to stop and talk to 3 people, and then you can race for a little bit, and then...
then you have the Knuckles.
You're thinking of Sonic 2K6, where you actually have that overworld where you have to play mini games, except there's like...
loading between every...
Yeah, like 30 seconds of loading for each cutscene that only lasts like 5 seconds.
I watched a dude do like some box breaking mini game, and it was like you talk to a guy in the main world, and he's like, "Do you want to play the game?" Yes, loading. And I mean like super loading, like you're like, this is going on way too long, and then it comes up to the dude talking again, and then you go, it's like, okay, let's go play the box game, like that's it, and then there's loading again, and then it's the box game.
Oh, speaking of,
you fail it, and then there's loading to go back to the main thing to talk to the guy to load some more. To then load the mini game again.
I beat this game.
Speaking of box games,
politics.
I wasn't. I'm not gonna bring this back.
Obama has put us into this financial box.
Something else completely different. Speaking of boxes, you guys. How many of you guys have played Catherine? The game Catherine. from Atlas that came out.
I think after we just got done with our earlier discussion of how Mizzou only plays games that are 2 years old, and I no longer buy anything that comes out.
I guess.
And Nick only buys games and then doesn't play them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play for $60.
I buy them on launch day and I play them 5 years later. So
Okay, because apparently the versus game from the game Catherine has become like it's become like a big competitive like event. Like there's a big competitive scene around the versus game in Catherine, like the whole box game in Catherine.
Is like when Triple Triad
someone on
became
TNO
a huge thing.
Linked to a
they're actually having it
to a tournament,
Evo,
and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yes. So I guess
challenging me to the box game. Is that what this is?
The challenge is actually to resist her charms and stick with your girlfriend, but they downplay that part.
I thought that the plot is kind of interesting, especially for people like us. Like I think we're all around the right age to kind of appreciate a storyline like Catherine a little bit more maybe than
oh yeah, totally.
We're all making decisions between
because I think we're all
between
like
our girlfriends and our wives,
like overgrown man children who don't want to step up to responsibility in the end. And definitely don't want to get married. There's the fear of commitment, a lot of settling down and growing up. And even though we're like 100 years old, it's still a thing that exists inside you. Because see, the thing that people don't tell you, if anyone listening and you're really young, you should not be listening to this. But if you are, then you don't actually change when you grow up. You're the same stupid little person you always were. And nothing changes. Nothing feels different. You're just you're just older
really good
now.
Point. So yeah, you do expect something to change with it.
Yeah, because you think your parents were hot shit and they knew stuff that you didn't know, but it's not true. They're just people like you. They're just kids in big bodies who were telling you to
bitter disappointment, and that's
you guys are so bitter politically and
not bitter.
Emotionally. I cannot believe this.
That's not being bitter. I mean, experience obviously gives you an advantage, so they knew
I have a theory. I have a theory, and actually, Mizzo's been a victim of this theory, and I've had this theory since I was a teenager. People are pretty much worthless till they hit about 25. For 99% of people, I'm not going to say 100%, because there's 1% of people that are awesome, and they're like born awesome.
Yeah, they're called girls.
They're called girls. But yeah, I think around the time you're in your mid-20s, I do think it's just kind of like being cotton-headed or something. Like you got a cloud in your head, I think. And this was actually borne out years later by scientific studies. They said that there's something about young people's brains. When I say young, I mean like 2,500. That's just not working properly.
It's not finished yet.
Yeah, it's not finished. It's not a finished work. So I mean, there's hope. There aren't going to be a lot of teenagers listening to this podcast. Maybe we should throw in some more swear words and stuff so people will listen. But I don't know. But
for
as far
of
as
you
gaming tastes haven't really changed. I still like fighting games and RPGs and vertical shooters and all that. I think
they have changed to the point where it's the same thing. Like I find most anime unwatchable now, whereas my high school self. Well, see, that's because you're an old dude trapped in a young man's body since you were like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like when I used to watch anime, like in high school, I'd be like, "Oh my god, did you see that? Holy shit!" I would get really excited about stuff. And now I'm like, the story doesn't make sense. I'm like, the story is so stupid, and that's what my main focus is now. Is like storyline, plot. When before it was more like boobies and things blowing up. Okay. You know what I mean? Like there was definitely a shift for me at some point. And I feel the same way about video games.
And that's why the Wii U will be your favorite system.
I don't know. I feel like I like the same types of games that I've always liked. My tastes really haven't changed. In fact, I've actually gone more classical as I've gotten older. I play more shooters now than I used to, and I've
shooters
actually gone
like your little plane shooting things. Or
just like top down. Like that type of shooter. Just going back to that. Like I just enjoy those types of games, and same with fighting games. I've gone back to those, and just like conventional RPGs.
I enjoy shorter games now, but that's more a time thing.
Yeah, that's more a factor of time.
2 games a year before, now you have 2 games a week sometimes.
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way. I like Dark Souls because I can play short bits of it. I can just play like 10 minutes of it at a time. I could just like do some grinding and then walk away from it. And
you mean like against the TV?
Yeah, exactly, Nick. Against
I did that for
no,
Catherine. Yeah.
No, I mean just level grinding.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Earning experience points.
And everything I hear, going back to Catherine, which I think was the thread that started off our insane rantings, but like Catherine did have. There was somebody mentioned something about like she sends you pictures on your phone that you can go into the bathroom and look at. What an amazing game! I mean, come on, isn't that the greatest game you've ever played?
What a brilliant
already
idea.
or have not played?
Yes.
Everything I hear about it, it's Atlas, so you know it's going to have a decent story or decent character development at least. It's going to be a crazy story. That's for damn sure. I've never played the game. I can already tell all this. And it's probably going to have like 2 environments in the whole fucking game, but I'm still going to love it.
And I've got the game, and I still haven't actually played it, but I did play the demo. I really did enjoy it. I'm just every once in a while I think about getting into it, but I still haven't gotten.
I would almost wish that they would put more time into more talking to people and going to different places and talking to more people and kind of focus on the social element more and get rid of the actual game part, which was the puzzle thing. I kind of wish they would do that more because I actually really got into that in the other, like in the Persona
just
series.
Wants to go out and talk to
it's true. Well,
but he can't do it.
I want to do what I can't do in real life. Exactly.
This idea that there has to be some kind of content to justify buying the game. And actually, that reminds me of what happened with. Have you guys played the new Deus Ex game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Deus Ex game, Human Revolution. Well, everybody complained when it came out about the boss battles that were added to it, and which felt jarringly different from the rest of the game.
Right,
a lot of people felt really bad about it.
Which were
and because basically you play the game a certain way. And then you run into this boss battle, and suddenly you have to play the game an entirely different way, and it was very.
It turned out to be more than that. It turned out to be that the boss battles were actually farmed out.
Yeah, right.
Which is why they sucked in the first place.
Right, which was actually kind of interesting. But it leads into this idea that in order to release a game today, like you have certain gameplay expectations that developers have to meet. Like you have to have boss fights, you have to have action, and like with Catherine, you have to have some kind of element to the game that has you actually moving the controller around, or else people feel like they don't have their money's worth.
Well, see, that's a good question. It's a good viewpoint because I was playing I've been playing a lot of iOS games this week. We'll get into that when we talk about what we've been playing. I played nothing but iOS games this week just to see if I could, and I could easily. But I've been playing Tiny Tower, and playing is very loose because that's not even a game. Okay, no. It's like. I mean, there's no way. Like, all you do is win. You sit there and win, and if you play with it, you can win faster. Yeah, whatever. if you mess with it, you can win faster. But there's absolutely no antagonistic properties to this game whatsoever, and that got me thinking: is that a requirement for a video game?
Conflict.
Well, it seems like it always has been. Like that's always the expectation that people like us have had when we played games. Because we grew up playing games with boss fights. And exploration and the idea that you have to kill things, but yeah, I mean, we don't have to have games that are like that anymore.
Well, I think you do. I think there needs to be conflict. At least, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of big boss battles. It could be something abstract or something artsy, but there has to be a form of conflict in the game for it to count as a video game, or else it's like a graphic novel or a really fancy fucking screensaver.
Yeah, well, you even get that with movies. I mean, there's a couple movies where it's just like, here, we're going to try and get across an idea, but there's no story or necessarily characters, like one which I don't even think I can pronounce right now, which is, what is it, Konya Kwatsi, something like that. It's a movie that it's a movie.
I know the movie that you're talking about.
Right, and the whole thing is that the idea is it's basically showing off a lot of the horrors of the world as well as the natural beauty of the world in order to appreciate it. But at the same time, that's the sort of thing that's never going to appeal to a wide audience because there are no characters, there's no direct development or something that's being fleshed out. I mean, part of the problem with the Deus Ex battles is not the fact that there are boss battles that exist. The problem is that they can only be solved in one way. It's a game about solving things multiple ways. If they had left the boss battles in there, but you could do things like, for instance, hack the bosses to temporarily disable them and then attack them at your leisure like your physically weaker developed character might be. But it's just that it was you kill the boss.
Or have dialogue trees like in Fallout or something, like the original Fallout.
That's of course the thing that, the original Fallout and of course the original Deus Ex let you do. because the bosses in that game, such as they did exist, they had these like the kill switch names. Like they had if you somehow learn their what do they call it, like a kill switch or like a kill phrase. If you learn that character's kill phrase, you could just tell them the kill phrase and they would immediately die. And you could basically get around that encounter without having to actually fight them. Yeah. And they could have done this. They could have done something similar in Deus Ex. And if they actually, I mean, they had Deus Ex. The new Deus Ex game is such an important achievement in a lot of different ways. In the fact that it exists in this day and age, but the fact that they didn't have the courage of their convictions to actually make like the boss fights or even take them out entirely, is unfortunate.
Well, do you think that was an actual design decision, or like like I mentioned, they did farm them out, but I'm wondering what the doc actually said, what the design doc was asking for.
It feels like a last-second thing.
Yeah, I think it was a decision that was made. I think someone at some high mucky muck at that company told them, okay, listen, we've got to sell this to the general GameSpot crowd who's not going to have any idea what Deus Ex is. I mean, we've got to compete with,
and they're just going to play through it, shooting everything anyway.
And yeah, we have to provide this experience. You have to put these boss fights in. I think so.
I mean, I think the lack of options is what shows something to that effect. I don't know about that exactly, but it's. I mean, you run into stuff like, and this is kind of an old spoiler, but like at the end of Mass Effect, the first game, where you can actually talk one of the last bosses into realizing what he's done.
And I have it up on shame.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. You can
actually talk one of the bosses into killing himself. Like you skip a fight entirely because it's like if your persuasion skill is high enough, you can reason through him, and he's just like, "What have I done?" and pulls out his gun and shoots himself in the head.
Of course, all the old PC role-playing games were like that. I mean, all the great ones. Planescape Torment was like that, and of course, the Fallout games were like that too. Like with Fallout 2, like the final encounter, you could. I can't remember, but I think there's a way that you can basically talk your way out of that final encounter in Fallout 2. With that,
I think a lot of Planescape Torment, I believe, was like that. You could talk through, I think, most of the battles in the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, with that final boss, you could very definitely talk your way out of that battle. You could basically talk him into. Spoiler alert again. you could talk the boss into merging with you, and then you could basically win the game without having to fight him. So yeah, I mean those options did exist, and now that we've sort of.
But
it just kind of sucks that it's like with the evolution they would decide to remove that aspect entirely.
Chris said that's
it was an odd
part of Deus.
It didn't really make sense. It didn't jive with the rest of the game. It's very weird.
And it's interesting too because I don't think it really benefited Deus Ex to have those boss fights. The people who liked Deus Ex as a game were kind of put off by them, and I don't really think Deus Ex sold all that well amongst the general public. I mean, I don't have the sales figures. I could be just talking in my
It's like that Metroid game that had the stealth elements in it. I think it was one of the Game Boy ones.
The Game Boy one?
Where you got out of the outfit and you had to crawl around and you were vulnerable in your little blue leotard.
Well, crazy outfit.
One of the things I just remembered, which might have been part of it, was they did say that, and something that a lot of us had noticed anyway, was that the game looked very Metal Gear Solid-esque. Right. And I remember someone pointing that out in an interview, and they said something to the effect of they were heavily influenced by the effect of Metal Gear Solid, and so they might have been trying to go for that, where it's that whole you've got those different aspects, but you always come down to bosses that you fight directly in one specific way.
Yeah, it's
for the most part. Like there's no real variance in those games for the bosses.
Oh my god! You know what? Good game developers should not take notes from Japanese game developers ever.
Well,
the original. I mean, say what you will about Metal Gear Solid and the problems.
And I will.
The problems of that games, but they're very well designed games. I mean, from Metal Gear Solid on, they're just exceptionally well designed examples of, or excellent examples of good game design.
On the other hand, the original Deus Ex is consistently rated as one of, or if not the top PC game of all time, and it's because of that choice. And I think what happened is they might have freaked out a little when they were looking back at the scores, and Deus Ex 2 Invisible War, which was a decent game. No, it was a good game.
It was
not anywhere in the neighborhood of the first game. I think a lot of reviewers really, and a lot of people
really laced into it.
just
Yeah.
really tear into it because it's not the first game, but it was a good game. I remember I reviewed it for the site, and we used an A to F. I gave it an A, even though it was nowhere near the original experience. But I guess that, now that there's so much money sunk into these games, and there's so much riding on them, they say, let's do what is proven. And boss battles, anywhere from the Zelda games to the Metal Gear games, they're a mainstay of almost any successful game you would look at. So they did it, but like Chris said, they didn't give you the choice of what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You had to take down that first guy. You had to take down.
Has anyone actually put these questions to the people who worked on the game?
I don't know.
Or
I haven't
does
seen any interviews.
Or does every interview just kind of tiptoe and say, your game is so good, here your balls back, I'm done sucking on them,
I mean, one of the things I do like about Human Revolution is that the actual gameplay, for the most part, is really good. Like, I played Invisible War a little bit ago when they had like one of those Steam deals where you get both Deus Exes for like $250. But it's just like, the gunplay is not that great. And the first Deus Ex has a lot of amazing stuff, but a lot of the characters are really stiff, and it's got issues trying to play it today, even for all the great stuff it has. And the main thing is that even though the original Deus Ex might be a better game, I'm going to play Human Revolution more than I am the first one, just because it feels a lot better. There is a lot that they got right, and it's obvious that the money was put into it.
Agree.
Hey, Sleeve, can I cut you off for a second here?
Sure.
I kind of get the feeling that your microphone is secured to the ceiling, and then you're sitting on something and riding a wave up toward the ceiling, down toward the floor.
He just spins it, and it goes around his head.
Are you moving your head like a chicken? I mean,
does it sound better now? How about now?
It sounds good. It sounds good, but there's fainter good and stronger good. If you can consistently strap it to your head in some way.
My mic is strapped to my
Sometimes
face.
It feels like you're falling out a window, and I feel like grabbing out and reaching out and grabbing your hand because you're falling.
Reaching out and waving goodbye.
We can cut all this out.
No, we're not going to cut this out. This is TNL, man. This is
raw. This is real.
There's going to be infighting on this podcast. There's going to be legitimate hatred
of the streets.
But can I just say what I was going to say?
No, it's too late. The moment's passed.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with what. Anyway. Sorry. Anyway, I agree with what Chris said. I think, Human Revolution does a lot of things right, and they avoided the biggest thing about it. I think they avoided doing what they did with BioShock, which was they didn't make any huge compromises to make the game playable, and they actually did force people to make choices while playing the game, which they didn't really do in BioShock, which I think is a good thing. But anyway, should we talk about what we've been playing? Should we get to that part of the podcast?
Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
Nick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, me?
Nick? Yeah.
I just got done playing War of the Worlds, which is a...
What?
Yes, believe it or not.
What? Oh, yeah, it's Xbox Live.
Yes, it's an Xbox Live arcade game. I think it might be on the PSN, too. I'm not sure.
I have to look it up. I've never even heard of this.
Really? Well, yeah. we did a full preview of it on the front page.
What site is that? What website are you talking about?
THE-nextlevel.com.
I gotta put that
Just Google the words the next level.
I gotta bookmark that. Sorry.
Yeah. But what it is, it's in the vein of it's one of those rotoscoped games in the vein of Out of This World and Flashback and those types of games.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really? Even kind of like Limbo too. And it's a very interesting game. It's based on the book, of course, and gets into things that the movie doesn't even get into. The black smoke and all these different elements of the game. It's narrated by Patrick Stewart, who plays the protagonist. I think his name is Arthur Clarke.
Oh my god, it looks awesome! I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, I saw it a while ago and was like, this actually looks good, but I haven't gotten around to even trying it out.
Check out TNL.
Yeah, I think the developer told me that he was expecting, this was early on, he said he was expecting 4 hours or so of gameplay out of it. I ended up playing a lot more than that.
You? No.
Did you have to find every little thing?
No, the
Is
thing
there something collectible?
there are no collectibles in this game. There is nothing to collect.
Oh my god, that sounds so good.
And the problem is, and it might be a problem, it might not, is it's extremely difficult. It's a very difficult game.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, it's well, I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I'm gonna beat it before the podcast is over.
Yeah, you'll beat it in like 2 hours. But you're very vulnerable in this. It's almost like Spelunker from the NES, where like if something grazes you, you will die in this game, with some exceptions. So you're running from the aliens, and you're doing some parts of this over and over and over. Like you might do something 20 times before you get it right. Not everywhere in the game, but some places are a little difficult.
Well, you said it was like Out of This World or like Limbo. I mean, it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, same kind of thing. You're grabbing onto ledges. You're pushing boxes. You're hiding from things.
Is there a genre for that? Is there a name for that kind of game?
You need to ask Fragakuda.
I was going to say, if you ask Fragakuda, I think he's got a thread where he debates.
It's a 2D adventure platformer or something.
Action puzzle platformer.
Rotoscoped. I don't even know what rotoscope means, but
rotoscope might just be the way the characters move.
Yeah, I know.
There's an update for Xbox Live. When's the last time I logged into this? Anyway.
And the thing is that there's so much narration in this that a lot of times Patrick Stewart will be recounting some element of the plot, and then you lose, and then it starts again, and Patrick Stewart is recounting some element of the plot again, and you hear this.
That's no Bastion, then.
So that really pushes you to keep going, because you don't want to hear that cinema again.
And there are a couple
things that pushes you to hate Patrick Stewart forever.
You have to do things exactly right in some places, and I think this is the weakness of this type of game. If I suck at a Street Fighter game and I can't beat the boss, I will play it 100 times in a row till I beat him. It doesn't bother me because I'm exploring different things. Then it's like, okay, this strategy isn't working, so I'm gonna try more jump kicks, or I'm gonna try to do these combos. But in this type of game, you pretty much know what you have to do. It's just the execution of it, and you can only really do it one particular way. And if you fail, it's because you slipped, you pushed the button too soon. So you're really doing the same thing over and over and over. You're not trying to reach the same goal over and over. You're doing the exact same motions over and over. So I think that does get kind of old. And then at one point, I saved the game at a checkpoint, turned off the system. I turned it on the next day, and it took me 40 minutes to get back from the beginning of the level to that checkpoint I had already saved at. Because if you turn the system off, it just puts you back at the beginning of the chapter, no matter how far you in.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he's very vulnerable. Except he can fall from like the sun, he can fall from millions of miles away. As long as he catches the edge with his fingertips, he's fine.
That's very Flashback. There was one puzzle at the end of Flashback where you had to fall like 3 screens and then grab yourself. And I was always like, what?
Yeah,
your arms would just rip free off, It would be over.
In your fingertips in this game.
And ever since, this genre of games, I think this extends to like Ico and even Shadow of the Colossus to a certain extent. Like I feel they're all kind of the same genre of game. Like ever since I saw Prince of Persia running on a computer, like an Apple at the mall or wherever Babbage's or wherever the hell I was. Ever since I saw that Prince of Persia game by Jordan Mechner, whatever. I saw that game running. I've been in love with this game type. Karateka on the Apple. Yeah, I played that too.
Yeah,
I thought that was Karateka.
Karateka?
I always said Karateka.
Like karate.
I've always said Karateka too, but this is because I'm applying English inflection to these words. I mean, it could be karate-ka.
Karateka.
It's karate.
Somebody should look this up.
It's Tenkaichi Budokai. That's the correct pronunciation.
Somebody should look it up in the wiki.
Yeah, like these, I have like a soft spot for these games. Like I understand everything that's wrong with them. Coming in, I know that they were going to be flawed from the start. I know there's going to be repetition. I know it's going to be brutal. I'm going to die a lot. I need to practice exact movements. And I'm okay with that. Like I know that coming in, so I am cool with it when it happens in game.
It's a very attractive game, considering it's not some huge blockbuster 3D polygon,
Mm-hmm.
It's a very attractive game. The art style is very pleasing to the eye.
So who made this?
This is made by Other Ocean as a developer, and it was published by Paramount. They have that video game division now. What happened was Paramount told these developers that they could literally do a game on any Paramount property, I guess besides Star Trek or whatever, but anything they're involved in, they chose this, and I think it was a really, really, really solid choice, a good choice for a game. I think most people though will probably rate it pretty low, because it is so frustratingly difficult, and you just do, it's almost like an OCD game. You just have to do certain things perfectly.
That sounds like my game. That game was made for me.
I will definitely check that out. Yeah.
I'm looking for it right now, but I'm bad at this.
Eric, what are you playing this week?
Well, last podcast I talked about Dark Souls, how I started playing that and how I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. I'm about 8 hours. Actually, I went about 6 hours into it, and then I started over with a new character, and so about 8 hours into that now. And how are my voice levels? Are they good?
I like them.
Okay, all right.
That's a good segue.
Yeah, but I really like it. There's
and he's gone.
Okay. How about now?
You were totally fine until you questioned your voice levels.
Yeah, you became conscious of it, and then.
Well, anyway, yeah, there's been a lot said about it, and there's a lot of interesting things about it, and about the game that I really like. I like this hasn't really been talked about, but the whole plot of the game, such as it is, it's almost very meta in the way it's sort of how like everybody in the game is basically dead. Like you're undead, and you keep up coming back to life. Like your nature is such that every time you die, you naturally come back because you've got this curse. You're undead, so of course you keep coming back. And then there's this idea, the multiplayer aspect of it, where everybody's like playing in their own universe, and sort of that makes sense because everybody's the hero in their own universe. So you can obviously invade other people's universes and play with them or try to kill them. And that's sort of how the game works, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of a meta commentary on the idea of playing games and constantly dying and trial and error and trying to overcome every obstacle. So that aspect of it is pretty cool, and yeah, enjoying that.
And you said you had only played the first one briefly. Is that what you said?
No, I hadn't
10
played.
hours.
I haven't played Demon Souls at all. I played it for about. I started playing it with one character for about 6 hours. I didn't like how that character was going, so I just started over again. So yeah, that was what I did there. And then the other game that I've been playing is Aliens Infestation.
Nice.
This
yeah,
by the DS, and this is a game I've had kind of a interesting history with the developer of this particular game, Way Forward. I know a lot of people like this developer, like the games that they do. They did Contra 4, they did Shantae, the Shantae games.
Boy and Blob.
Yeah, and the Boy and Blob for the Wii, and they did.
That just makes me think of your old DS animation.
Yeah, and then they did the Thor license game for the DS. Yeah, they did that game. A lot of people praise them for being, so into 2D and doing all this development for 2D. I personally can't stand any of their games. I mean, I remember I got Contra 4, and everybody was praising it, and I immediately, like, I was frustrated with the game. Like, I felt like the challenge level was cheap. The bullets were. The deaths were cheap. Like you can't, like the way that the bullets travel from one screen to another, it makes it very difficult for me to predict like where they're going to land. I thought the grappling mechanic was sort of like not very well thought through. It didn't really fit with the game, and it really got in the way. I really didn't like the game, especially coming after Contra Shattered Soldier, which I actually really enjoyed, and that sort of basically retconned the entire Contra series after that game. And
well, to be honest, the one that doesn't fit would be Shattered Soldier, because Shattered Soldier is 100% memorization, more than almost any other game I've ever played.
But
it is at least exactly memorization.
There is a lot of memerization, but at least
it is.
I feel like the challenge in that game is fair, whereas in Contra 4, I feel that it is.
Yeah, well, no, and Contra 4 is more like the old games, but I beat Contra 4 on hard, so it's not impossible. So somebody has done it, and it's not impossible to do.
Sort of like
I beat the challenge mode, so that's not impossible either.
But there's this idea with Contra 4 that what people really liked about the Contra series was the fact that you keep dying over and over again. That you have to.
I don't know if that's what they
liked about with like 20. No, I think that's honestly like the perspective that they took when putting that game together, and I think that's fucking stupid. But anyway, I hate Contra 4. Everybody loves it. A lot of people like Thor, the licensed game Thor for the DS. It's based on the movie. I hated it.
I don't think it even got very good reviews.
It did get some good reviews. A lot of people on TNL did like it, but like I couldn't stand it. I thought the gameplay was very cheap. The boss at the end of the first level, I got so frustrated with, I just stopped playing the game. I mean, yeah, the graphics are really good, but just the gameplay is so cheap and ridiculous and not enjoyable. And anyway, getting back
to your JRPGs.
Yeah, maybe I do.
Maybe I do.
But getting back to Alien Infestation, this game is basically like 3 hours long. And from what little there is,
it would take me 6 hours.
I mean, again, it's a perfect example.
10 when he collects all the cats.
It's very. It looks very good. The graphics are very nice. The control is decent, but what is there of the game is just not that enjoyable to me. Something with their designers, like they just cannot put together an enjoyable game for me. Like I really have not enjoyed anything that they've ever done, and that's just I feel frustrated when playing their games though, because I feel like I really should like them, and I just don't. I don't think
I've ever played a game by them that I really enjoyed. There have been some which are like, man, this sure is an okay thing.
Right.
But that's about it.
They're definitely not incredibly top tier, amazing designers. I think they do a good job with what they do, but I've never been.
Their games are just.
I've never been like, this is amazing. Like, this is the best game I've ever played. I've always been like, this is good. This is really good, and then I play it. But
I just feel like they're all just aggressively
mediocre.
Mediocre. Like I would say mediocre.
You know what? The suck is the first Shantae. I don't care what anybody says. That first Shantae game is so fucking bad. The controls are horrible and delayed and bad hit detection, and there's like blind jumps where you can't see where you're gonna land. Everything about it is like amateur. But the second Shantae game is very, very good. So
I played a little bit of Risky's Revenge on the DS, and I feel like it's okay. I don't really feel compelled to finish the game, but it's inoffensive. I guess that's the best thing I can say about it. But that pretty much sums up what I've been playing. I've been playing mostly Dark Souls this past week.
Okay, Chris.
So yeah.
All right. I'm still playing Breath of Fire 4. It's, aside from the shitty controls, it's pretty good. Probably the weirdest thing about it, like I'm playing it on the PSP. It's actually up on PSN these days. But it feels like a portable RPG. Like I'm like 10 hours into it. I still have yet to encounter a single area that's longer than maybe like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Like you usually go in, you do a mini game, and you leave, or you go through a dungeon that's like, oh hey, walk through this tunnel, and you're done. And it's like, I don't know, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of plot. You still do like a decent amount of everything, but everything's just so fast and self-contained. Like I have yet to get stuck in some 2-hour dungeon with save points inside, where you're just doing nothing but fighting and getting lost in a maze. Maybe I will encounter that, but it's actually pretty cool. So yeah, still really liking that.
I was waiting for you to say the name again because I missed it while I was playing World of the Worlds.
Breath of Fire 4.
Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah.
And what else?
I don't even know why I stopped playing that in the first place. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of the Haunted Hell's Reach, which
what is that on?
It's on PC. Well, it's going to be on 360 and PSN, which it might already be, but I've got it on Steam right now. It's a pretty decent little game. It's it's kind of limited. It's a multiplayer focused game. Like you either have like 4 people teamed up together fighting zombies, or you can have people fighting zombies and then players playing as zombies fighting the normal people. But the main thing about it is that unlike something like Left 4 Dead, it's a little bit more focused on melee attacks. Like you have guns, but what's kind of shitty about the guns is that they actually take a second to draw and fire your first shot, because your character doesn't hold it at the ready. So when you push shoot, your character actually like moves the gun up into position and then fires, which kind of sucks if you're trying to do second headshots. But the other thing is that you've got this whole huge combo list of melee attacks, which will just make the zombies explode, and it's ridiculously gory for no reason. I mean, you hit these guys and it's just pieces and blood like Mortal Kombat 2. Nice. And then usually like the basic zombies, there's a lot of them that have like alternate modes they'll go into. And basic zombies get this thing where their head just goes away and they have like this big pulsating sack instead of a head. And if you shoot it,
instead of a head.
Chin. When you shoot it, it's just like this huge fiery explosion, and everything close to them, including yourself, if you're too close, will catch on fire, and everyone will just start running around, and then things will explode.
It's like the opposite of Resident Evil 4,
right?
Where they would get the horrible thing come out of their head, and you don't want that to happen.
It's like
but this sounds like it's a good bonus.
You never want to get close to them.
Yeah, this sounds like a bonus.
Mm-hmm. So, it kind of sucks because I actually wish it had some kind of a big single and co-op player story mode, kind of like Left 4 Dead has, where you go through different areas all the way. Like this just has a series of small static maps that are completely unrelated. That's okay. It kind of feels like 1990s game design, but the core game's pretty decent, so it's pretty fun.
So there's no story arc? Are you working towards something, or are you just playing different maps?
There's 2 different modes. One is Inferno, which is you go through 4 waves and then you fight a boss and you kill him, or it's just survival, live forever. And so they like toss out little miniature objectives like destroy this stone before they steal it or whatever. But it's really just kind of a basic, kill everything. And there's no like actual overarching story.
Okay.
Maybe there's one like in the manual, just like.
Yeah, sometimes that's all right. Like, not to bring every conversation back to Monster Hunter, but people complain.
Why do you?
People complain that there was no story in Monster Hunter. I'm like, bitch, you go kill monsters.
Okay, there is more
story. What story do you want
in Monster Hunter than there is in it? Just from like the whole you wake up in a village. And
okay.
Oh, hey, you need to go train. Why don't you do these tasks for me? Like, that's more story than Haunted has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's pretty
like
good.
Haunted is just straight, oh, hey, you're a guy. Oh, look, the zombies are spawning. Kill them. Okay.
They don't look like you. Shoot them.
Kill everything that's different. Why are you bringing this back to a political discussion again? I thought we agreed.
Yeah, I think we
Anyway.
We all agreed to keep that out.
Okay, and Little Mizzo?
I have actually, as I mentioned, I've been playing iOS games all week, along with Monster Hunter, which I will never talk about again. Because I stumbled onto an iPad 2, which is very exciting. So I've been buying comics on it, and I've also been playing games. And let's see here. I have Infinity Blade. I think you have to talk about.
No, wait a minute. Was this like laying on a coworker's desk? What do you mean you stumbled onto it?
It was next to a dead person. I don't even know who killed them.
I think Chris killed him, and he thought it was a zombie.
It's like a whole thing. I don't know. My getting
Infinity
iPad
Blade is Infinity Blade is great.
So.
It's
Infinity Blade is. It's like, you know what? It's like Punch Out.
It's Punch Out with
RPG elements. So already it's better than Punch Out.
Oh my God.
It only costs like $5, which is what Punch Out should cost in this day and age.
Have you ever seen that?
Nintendo
I don't know if this. I assume this is on iPhone as well, but on Android there's some. There's some boxing game that's almost exactly like Punch Out.
You know, Corey Bebob on the forums mentioned that one a while ago.
It's called Super KO Boxing, I think, and it was
free.
free.
Like a sequel or something like Super KO Boxing 2 or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty decent. I never got to the end of it,
Yeah.
but that's very. I mean, it's a direct ripoff of Punch Out. If you're looking for something.
I would try it just to try it. I mean, I'm talking about like these are games that I feel like are actually worth playing through. Like these are, we were complaining last week, or maybe not complaining, but kind of talking about how iOS games are not like, you know what I mean? Like people coming off the street and they're like, look, I can make the graphics move by
Yeah.
touching.
Yeah.
They're not
I mean,
actually like real gamers games that you can sink your teeth into and be like, arr, and then bite it.
Some of them, but it's very rare.
I mean, I've played Infinity Blade. I've had an iPad for a while, and I've played it. I still feel that way about Infinity Blade. I mean, I enjoy
would say
what it
Infinity Blade
is.
a real game that I actually enjoy. So
I mean, I would much rather be playing actual games on the 3DS than playing games like Infinity Blade. Although
it's
I
a
do
real
appreciate,
game with graphics and control and things that happen. I mean,
but I don't know, when it comes down to that and full-fledged games, I prefer
But it is a full-fledged game, and it costs like $5. I mean, it's more of like an Xbox Live Arcade type game. It's not like a fat, like giant adventure.
I mean, you're just running through the same very, very short adventure over and over again. You don't really go through anywhere or do anything. You're just killing things over and over again and gaining weapons. I mean, you could reduce a lot of.
You just described like 50% of games.
Yeah, I know, but
there's really only one map in the original Pac-Man.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of games that are.
There really is not much to Infinity Blade. I appreciate what it is and how good it is.
Okay,
but
that's cool.
That's my personal feeling.
So moving on. Next game I feel is a real game. I really enjoy playing it. Is Space Invaders: Infinity Gene.
Fantastic game. That's a good game. I will agree with that.
I'm glad that you agree on that.
I also like.
Now wait a minute. Close-up sleeve agrees with it, but his far-away sleeve agree with that.
Yeah,
he might change his mind during the journey.
I also appreciate that you can download the ship from what do you call it, from
those are crickets, but I'm trying to make a cricket noise.
What's the Taito game with all the fish?
Darius.
Yeah, Darius. You can download the Darius ship, and there's a set of levels with the original Darius music, which I think is pretty awesome. So I like that fact. But yeah, that's a good game. Infinity
I've also been playing Tiny Tower, not a game at all, as I've already mentioned. It's like that's my screensaver. It's my iPad screensaver. It's Tiny Tower. And then I've been playing Sword and Sorcery. I'm pronouncing it that way because they have SWs.
They actually do have
and
SWs.
It's a really neat adventure game, but I'm at a point. I mean, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I think what they're asking me to do is to wait 10 days until the real moon is at a certain phase, so I can come back and the game will reflect that by checking the date, and then let me get to the next part of the story.
Yeah, Sword and
10 days. Like I don't know if I want to do that.
I don't think I ever played to that point in the game, but Sword and Sorcery is a pretty great game. I think
they try a little bit too hard to make it quotable, let's say. Like they try to make everything sound, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, they're just trying to make everything sound kind of like blasé and nice. And I don't even, clever. Let's say clever. They try to make everything sound a little bit clever. There's even an option to tweet every single fucking thing a person says in the game.
Yeah,
I hate that.
So obviously they wanted to be that clever thing to say, so you can be like, hey, that's really funny. Let me share this with my friends. Then they'll know I've been playing a game and this is something I didn't even say. Somebody else said, but I'm tweeting it because I'm sophisticated and clever and smart.
This is where our society is heading. It's so depressing. But
it's so weird that it's like imagine an NPC talking to you and everything he says is like a sentence and you can tweet that sentence. Like maybe there's a point later on from where I am. Maybe I'll find out in 10 days when the moon is fucking just right. But I don't know. It doesn't really annoy me, but I kind of feel like they went out of their way to have clever little quips of dialogue so that people would tweet it. And that kind of does annoy me. I don't know why it does, but it does. It's weird.
Is it the tweeting, or is it just overly cheeky?
But
it's not even. It's kind of cheeky. I mean, it's not really cheeky. It's like I'm trying to think of something they would say in the game.
I feel like
the locksmith didn't like that, and that's kind of okay by me. Like it's just the way the language works. It's nice. I like it, but it's just weird that you can.
It was a weird decision that they made, I think, to try to promote the game, to use Twitter to get other people to try it.
I mean, is that
And,
what it is?
yeah,
Does it ever
Mark,
tie
I
into
think
the
that's what
gameplay
it
in any way?
was.
I thought it would tie into the gameplay
I
at some
don't
point.
no, I don't think it does. It's just a kind of a thing you can do. I thought it was kind of a cool idea, but yeah, I don't know if there's any practical
I agree with a lot of things
thing
they
that
did.
it
The
does.
thing, kind of wacky, whatever. And the waiting thing, I mean, the freaking PSP game did this to me, Invisimals, which I know nobody has ever played. But you play Invisimals, and you want to
you
catch a certain
deserve
animal. Shut
anything.
up. Shut up. You want to try to catch a certain animal, and they're like, you have to wait 5 hours before that thing is available. And I don't come back in 5 hours. I don't come back at all, you know? And that's what made me stop playing Invisimals. And that may be what gets me to stop playing Sword and Sorcery, is the fact that they want me to. I mean, and they even tell you in the game. There's a dude called the Cheater, who's like a grave. He's like some guy they killed, and when you talk to him, the hint he gives you. This is probably massive spoilers, but who gives a shit? The hint he gives you is that you can go into the settings thing on your iPad and change the date to the moon date. But then you'll feel bad about it. Like, he's a cheater. That's what he does, and they killed him for it. But it's an option that you have.
And you don't want to
And I'm like,
die.
That's
no, I don't want to fuck with
You don't wanna
Tiny
be
Tower.
executed.
I don't know if
Yeah.
changing the date will fuck with Tiny Tower, so I don't want to do it. I don't want to
yeah.
come back
I'm not
10
gonna
days later.
I'm not gonna
Tiny
fuck with
Tower.
the date on my iPad. I mean, everything is
There's
tied
other
to
things.
that. So
Yeah, I mean, there's other things I care about on the iPad. It's not my sorcery playing machine. You know, there are other
Yeah,
things.
I actually do work on my iPad, so I would do that.
One final game I want to mention is I know I've shown this to Chris. I've shown this to everyone I've met in real life. It's got a funny little story behind it. I don't remember any of the names that would actually help people, but it's Enviro-Bear 2010, which is the greatest game ever made. I don't know if any of you have played it, but it's Chris. Do you remember
Do
this
you
game?
play everything that comes out on the market?
No, I don't. I definitely don't play everything comes out. But this game is amazing because, okay, like picture this. There's like a college class where, you know, kids are learning how to make video games, and the whole class has to make a driving game. Okay, so everyone has to make a racing game, a driving game. And this one dude makes Enviro-Bear, which is, I'm trying to, if you see it, it would be so much better if I tried to describe it, but imagine the inside of a car with a bear driving in MS Paint and everything. But I mean, and the only controls you have are one bear paw. He only has one paw. He doesn't have two. And you have to use this one paw to work the brake, the accelerator, and the steering wheel.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I've played this.
Drive
I know
into-
this game. Yes, I've played
this game is amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have to drive into lakes to make fish fall into your car, and then grab the fish and put him to his mouth to eat it. And you have to like drive into trees or bushes to get berries and stuff. And then you have a time limit, like 5 minutes. Get as fat as you can until you're ready to hibernate, and then drive into the cave.
It looks like this game. Are you playing it on the iOS? It looks like it's on the.
It's also
on
available.
the iOS.
Yeah, it's also available as a Flash game, I think, that you can play in the computer.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's how I played it. I remember
But if
playing
you
this
yeah,
now.
but then they ported it to the iOS for $1, and I was like, this is worth $1. So much.
This is
And
the greatest game.
if you just see it, I think you would almost. I don't know. I almost died the first time I saw this game. I couldn't even take it. Like, I was playing, and I was just
What's it called?
I mean,
Enviro-Bear?
Enviro-Bear.
Enviro-Bear
Yeah, like
2000.
environment.
Enviro-Bear.
Hibernation.
And there's other bears driving too, and oh my god, it's genius. It's
There's an
genius.
Enviro-Bear 2010 as well.
There might be.
It's in
Yes.
Japanese.
I think that's the version
Japanese.
for the iPhone.
I don't.
And
That's new to me.
yeah, for the iPhone, that's the version.
They actually added a mushroom item. I don't know when they added this, but I had noticed. I just played it recently. There's a mushroom item, and when you eat it, you start tripping balls, and everything looks ultra realistic, which makes it even funnier somehow. There's like a realistic bear in a realistic car environment with.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So pretty much you're just trying to get as fat as possible. Is that the goal? So you can go hibernate?
Yeah, you just want. I mean,
that's
you're
exactly
rushing right before winter. You eat as much as you can until you're ready to hibernate. And
I
then
mean,
you
it's
cave.
my life goal.
That's how I live. So, I think that's a good roundup of iOS games that I've been playing.
I guess that's a good note to end on. Check out Enviro-Bear 2000, all of you listening to the podcast.
Meanwhile, I'll be playing 2010, so I can be ahead of the curve for once.
Yeah.
Oh, the badger. Look at the badger picture, yes. Badgers come in and fuck with you. You gotta throw them out of the car with your one bear paw.
All right, well, if this ever gets actually published anywhere, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Otherwise, it was great hanging out with you guys for another hour and a half.
All
Another
right.
Sunday.
Sunday night
I have
wasted.
so many other things to do.